How many friends do we have in our midlife? How do you make friends? How do you keep friends? Are you good at that?
Could you put a number on how many real friends, like you could text someone and say, let's go to lunch, and it wouldn't be weird?
I think that even though I feel like I'm too busy to do that kind of stuff, I know that I would get much more out of making connections, making new friends than putting in the time on the computer.
Welcome back to the Midlife Crisisses podcast. 3 ongoing crises with multiple crises within those crises, all trickling down into a pyramid of crises for each and every one of us. I am one of your co-hosts, Tyson Apostol. You might recognize me from TV. If you don't, I don't care. And I am here with the top underwater photographer west of the Mississippi, William Drumm. William,
what's up, everybody? Doing fantastic. Ready to talk about all of my struggles with you guys today.
Okay. William, when are we going to, are you already the top underwater photographer in the country?
I'm working on it. Right now it's pretty much bound to Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
I'm expanding into the whole state right now.
Yeah.
And then the country. So I've got a little bit of time left, but I'm getting there.
Okay. I'm excited to see you build your empire.
That's right.
With us as always, and with a question this week,
our
very own Bradley Hasemayer. Bradley.
That's right. I am an Emmy award-winning host and out of Atlanta, Georgia. Have a couple of kids. I'm also mid-40s, stoked to be on this show. We're a couple episodes in, by the way. I'm super excited that you guys have been tuning in and listening. We've had some fun so far. We're going to keep that going. I have a question today that I want to bring. That is a question that's come up even before my midlife crisis went on.
Ooh.
And we've touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to get into it. I did some research and even got stats. I even have stats for today.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, normally we don't put that kind of work in. We got too much going on, but
yeah,
you guys, it's worth it. And my question is, and I think this involves both genders, but specifically as a male, I can speak from a male perspective, friendship. How many friends do we have in our midlife? Obviously, that's different than when we were younger. How do you make friends? How do you keep friends? Are you good at that? Are you good at being a friend? You look around and you're like, wow, I'm actually doing really well. And I wanted to lead with this stat that I thought was fascinating. So 27% of men currently would say in their mid-40s, in their midlife, currently say they have at least 6 friends. But that's down almost by half of what it was in 1990. So we've cut it way down. It was 55% in 1990. So if you were in your 40s in 1990, you had 12 friends or more. And now we've whittled that down in 30 years to 27%. So I'm curious. I have some other thoughts around that may come up, but I just wanted to kind of float that out there at first. Friends, how you guys doing? Do you have a lot of friends? Do you not? Are you good at it? All that.
Well, I want to go to William right after I talk about the stat itself. Is that I think in 1990, we didn't have streaming, so you couldn't just watch on demand everything you wanted to all the time. I literally think that is the only or one of the main factors in the reason we don't have as many friends. Because there's so many nights where I'm just like, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to binge watch a TV show. And before you couldn't really do that as easily. So I think that coupled with other internet stuff and doom scrolling smartphones is the sole reason for that. William, how you doing on friends over there?
Well, I've got my dog Shiloh.
Shiloh.
She's crying a lot right now. So if you guys could hear that, I'm sorry.
One friend.
She lives in the apartment with me. So I've got Shiloh. We get along really well. I try to nurture our relationship as much as I can. Other than that, I got you two guys.
Yep.
So that's 3.
Yep.
No, I don't know. I've got some friends, but I do think it's pretty hard. And I think that if you're not actively, or at least for me, if I'm not actively out there trying to make new friends, then it's really difficult. A lot of my friends who I grew up with are just into different things than I am. And we talked about it in another podcast. If you don't have like shared hobbies with your friends, then you guys aren't hanging out. Yeah. And that's kind of how it is with a lot of my friends who I grew up with. We have chat groups that we chat on, but we see each other every 6 months or something like that. So not a lot. I have been making a new effort to make new friends, especially through some of the activities I've been doing. You know, I was talking about Kung Fu on Friday. It's the Tyson fight, and I'm going to watch the Tyson fight with a couple of Kung Fu buddies.
I think that's tonight. Is that not tonight? It's tomorrow night?
It's tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
On
Tyson
Netflix.
and
Jake Paul.
Logan. Jake Paul. Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that it's a struggle. And I think especially for people who are busy entrepreneurs and whoever works a lot, it just becomes a lot harder. And then you're trying to spend time with your family as well. So that's another good point. Like a lot of my friends who I still spend time with, who I grew up with, we only spend time together because we have kids. So we're able to do kids stuff together with our kids and their kids. And without that, like that's kind of the only reason that we are still getting together in a lot of areas. So yeah, I don't know. It's not easy.
Let me ask you this. Could you put a number on how many like real friends, like you could text someone and say, let's go to lunch and it wouldn't be weird, or let's meet up. Like maybe your Kung Fu friends, you can't quite like go to lunch with them yet, but you could definitely do something with them. Like, hey, you going to class tonight? Let's all go at the same time, whatever it is. How many people are in your network like that?
I think a big part of it is me. I think I've got more friends that I can reach out to and do that with, but I don't always make the effort to. So I've probably got at least 10 friends like that who I can actually hit up and go get coffee or lunch with. But if I'm not actively pursuing that, then it just doesn't happen.
And of those 10, how many are, because you grew up in the area you now live.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of friends from your childhood, from your high school, from whatever. How many of those 10 are lifelong and how many are newer based on the new hobbies and you trying to get out there as an adult?
Yeah, good question.
That is a good question. I think that like my better friends now are people who I've met more recently. So it's probably half and half, but I think that the people who I would actually probably do that with, there's only a handful that I grew up with, and most of them are new friends who have more similar interests than me. I've made some friends through freediving, through underwater photography, and with them it's a lot easier. So probably less than half are old friends from childhood.
Okay.
I also wonder, and Tyson, I want to hear what you think too, but I also wonder, like, how vital is it to have friends? It's harder to make them. Like, is it worth it? Is it not? I don't really have an answer necessarily, other than like loneliness. I mean, suicide statistics for guys are like 4 times. William was just like, I can't handle it. We got it.
Yeah,
I'm out. It's too much. Those kind of stats are much higher and much heavier toward men than it is women. So obviously, like, loneliness is like a thing that's a big issue that's cited. But why are friends important, and why is it worth taking the time? I think you made a great point, Tyson, as to like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I could try to reach out and do something, but I actually am tired and it would be easier to watch this 30-minute show than to get in the car. So anyway, I kind of jumped the ship there, but I wanted to find out from you too.
Yeah, first of all, I have a lot of friends. I'm very good at making friends.
Very popular. I'm very popular, right?
I
Clearly.
don't like close knit.
You have a gold
friends.
chain. You have a gold chain. People
That's
are
what I'm saying,
they flock to
dude.
that.
It's a lure for friendship. I'm an extrovert, pretty much through and through. And I have this because I was on Survivor, the most popular reality TV show of all time. That's an automatic win. Like, I can roll in anywhere. Everybody has heard of Survivor at the very least.
Yeah.
People
even
know
if they don't know
concept.
you. Yeah.
Even if they don't know me, even if they haven't watched the show, they know the concept of the show.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's automatic, like a little bit of respect and a little bit, like I get like a little bit of leeway and freedom and some magnetism based on that alone. So I get a little head start. Like,
you got instant cool points.
Exactly. Yeah. So I get into pickleball groups that maybe would have taken someone else that wasn't on TV a little bit more effort to get an invite to. I get to, so I get stuff like that, which, I utilize to my advantage. But I think, first of all, old friends. I lived in Utah. I grew up in Utah. And until I moved away, I hung out with a lot of friends that I'd had for a very long time. Of those, I stay in touch with one who I have a different podcast with called News AF. And
a very funny podcast, by the way.
I've known him for like 30 years. And the second one is a friend that's, since I was adult, I made him a friend, but it's been a while now. It's probably been 15, 20 years now. But back then I was like, oh, I have a new friend. That's weird.
What a weird thing. That's so funny.
And we met because we were smoking cigarettes at a BYU college house party because it was so funny and offensive to do that there. It was a white trash party
from the very beginning.
It was a white trash party. And everybody thought it was so funny, but there's no drinking, no substance, no anything on BYU. So everybody at the white trash party was like carrying empty bottles of beer or root beer looking like bottles of beer and having cigarettes, but not smoking them.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is funny to smoke. And my other buddy, this guy was like, this is funny to smoke. And so we're both just like smoking cigarettes, and everyone, hundreds of people instantly offended, disgusted
aghast
by our behavior.
You?
Yeah.
That's such a Tyson thing to do.
Yeah, totally. It really is. And it was so funny.
Go against the grain. What's everyone doing? I'm going to go this way.
Yeah. So I made that friend there. And now all of the friends, pretty much all, I have one high school friend that lives close to me that we go out to dinner or movie or something once or twice a month. Other than that, it's all pickleball friends for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of newer pickleball friends. I think like that is how you make friends as an adult. Like you said, William, like you don't have time to just shoot the shit with everybody. You need a shared hobby. So like before pickleball, when I was running, it was like running friends. Before that, it was cycling. It was like cycling friends. Those are the people I see regularly, or people who have a similar schedule to me to be able to enjoy the activities that I want to do when I want to do them.
What I think is really hard is going from like being friendly acquaintances to actually like making time to hit up people and hang out with them.
To sending dick pics.
Just thinking.
It's basically, that's kind of what it is, right? Because you're moving from blind date, first date kind of thing to like, I'm in a relationship, right? That's the acquaintance.
Totally. Let me grab your number. Like that's always like a weird, like, we should hang out sometime. Let me grab your number.
But isn't that so funny? Because it's like, you both kind of want that. But it is so awkward to like ask another dude.
But even also, you don't know if you want it. You don't know if you want it until you get it, and then our experience, like maybe they're going to text me too much. Maybe they're going to call all the time. Maybe they're going to ghost me, and I'm going to feel like a jackass. Like there's still all of those like hesitancies.
Just like dating, right?
Yeah,
it's just like that. Yeah, that's really funny.
And I got phone numbers from my kids' friends' parents, at school,
right.
And those are totally blind. It's like, our kids like each other, but kids like all kids. So like they didn't vet the parents to see if
the parents could be total jerks.
Yeah, but now
the kid's great. You don't know.
We actually have a couple close friends that are parents of kids that go to school with my kids, which is like the weirdest connection. I think it's like our kids like each other at school. We are now friends. And it's...
Did it work?
Yeah. Like we go out to eat with a couple.
It's like an arranged marriage. It's like you had nothing to do with it. And someone just said, you and you now go eat at the fish restaurant.
But for some reason, it's way less offensive than if my wife were to come up and be like, hey, my friend's husband is so funny. You guys should go to lunch sometime. I'm like, stop. Don't play matchmaker here. Like that doesn't work. But if my kids play matchmaker, I tolerate it.
Oh, okay, great. Let's do it. Yeah, probably good.
Yeah, I'll go over to their house for 6 hours while you jump on the trampoline. Yeah.
I think that's funny. Well, I also wonder like how many friends do we need? Right? Like how many great friendships can you have just in terms of like bandwidth? Yeah. Like hopefully your spouse is within that mix. Hopefully you're in a relationship where like your spouse is a good friend, best friend, great friend. Like, I don't know, but somewhere in that friend And you're pouring into that, you're pouring into your business, you're pouring into your kids. I mean, hopefully you also kind of like your kids. You don't have to, you don't always like them, but you love them, but hopefully enough that you kind of want to be around them. And that's time and that's energy and that's focus. So, I also look at the stat and I think six seems pretty good. That's like, if you had 6 dudes in your life, even if it's pockets, I tend to kind of like you were talking about, where it's like you've got your pickleball friends, you have your arranged marriage friends, and William, you've got like your Shaolin ass kicking friends. I think, I have like different pods. Like you guys would be a pod, right? Podcast. Yeah, that works.
Totally.
But like this is a group that's on like a text group, and we're texting about one thing. I have another group that's like a lot of cuss words and terrible memes that I had to make sure that originally Ellis was using an iPad that was linked to my account. And I was like, we're going to just disconnect that chat and we're going to get you your own iCloud account because I don't want my friends sending terribly inappropriate things throughout the day. And you're like, what is this? And they would, because they're terrible, but also fantastic gentlemen. And then there's like another group. And so it's kind of like, I wouldn't say that, I would say that's a good number for me. It's probably, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kind of, but none of those people live near me. Those are all like virtual friendships like this or texting. And for instance, tonight I'm actually driving about an hour and a half or 2 hours to go meet up with some of those guys to do a dinner. And we usually do.
You're a real friend. I don't think I would put in an hour and a half drive, because then it's an hour and a half drive back as well.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It becomes like you set it up. It's not like every month. We usually do it like once a year. And then sometimes we'll do a weekend where we'll do like come in on a Friday, cook out Friday night, sleep in Saturday, watch some football, like whatever, go for a hike, just hang out and leave Sunday morning. So it's basically like a 36-hour kind of thing. And it's also like, your spouse or whomever you're with kind of has to buy into that and recognize, for Bradley to be the best Bradley, I need these aspects to my life. I need to be able to work out. I need to be able to have quiet time. I need to be able to reflect. I need to be able to create. I need to be able to work. Like all these facets help make me the best I can be, and bouncing off ideas with my friends who can call me out on stuff, or I can say like, oh, I never thought about that. Or even simple stuff like my kids love this TV show. And I'm like, oh, we should try that show. Those types of things. Or, some of my friends who are entrepreneurs, they're like, have you thought about this? I did this tax thing. And I'm like, oh, it's great. So I need those things in my life. So you got to have buy-in from the people around you, because it is a bit of a sacrifice. But all that to say, it's interesting because none of those people live near me. I don't just walk down the street to my close friends. I have like my first date friends still, because we've been here a couple of years in this neighborhood. And so I'm kind of dating around, like seeing who we can mesh with. And then if you have kids, that like your kids get along, but you don't like the parents, or you love the parents, but you don't like the way the kids act, and you don't want that spilling onto your kid. Like that's a whole separate variable of systems there, especially when they're younger. Like, William, your daughter, especially, like I would imagine, but Loic's 4, Ellis is 11. If your kids are older, it's a little more autonomy, but like the definition of friendship, I think, has changed.
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
I was going to say that for me, it's so strange because in Denver, I kind of feel like I don't have that much in common with a lot of people. And it's a lot more difficult for me to make friends unless it's something like specific, like when I'm going to Shaolin or whatever. But when I go on trips, when I go on dive trips, it's just like instant friendships on these trips. It's my people. Tribe, I have more in common with these people who I just met than I do with my friends who I've been friends with since, we were kids. Yeah. And with that, because of that, a lot of my friends are also like all over the place. Mexico, Florida, California. Very few of the people who I would like to spend more time with, I can actually spend time with because they just don't live here. So I think that proximity.
Well, if they did live there, then you may not be able to have the moniker of the number 1 diver for Denver. You'd have to now be competing with some of those friends.
He still would. It's a good point.
What am I thinking?
But William, let me ask you this, because I have lots of pickleball friends. Yeah. Socially outside of pickleball, I don't know that we'd have as much in common.
Yeah.
If they moved to Denver and you started going to coffee with them and stuff, is the lifestyle of diving and ocean so ingrained in a person that the similarities are so akin that you're just going to have a great time with anybody who celebrates that with you? Or is it purely like we're on a boat, we're doing the thing we love, we're friends here?
Summer camp kind of
No,
thing.
I think
an
it's more the
enclosed group.
first thing because we have all these shared experiences. It's like, oh, have you been diving here? Yeah, this was such a good dive. Hey, where have you seen manta rays? Oh, I've been diving with manta rays in Hawaii and in Socorro Islands. Let me tell you about the trip. It's just more of like a shared experience. And then also there's being on the boat and partying and having fun too.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is just knowing the same things that I know and having been doing the same things that I do and love for a long time. But it's also a blessing because you know that when you go on those trips, it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
On my last trip down to Mexico, we were on a boat with, I brought somebody with me, and then I didn't know anybody else. And two of the people were from Australia, and one was from Mexico. And it was hilarious. We were laughing the whole time, having so much fun. Now we've got text groups. We're talking all the time. So yeah, it's just like we just click.
But we clicked in Canada, not
True.
near the ocean.
True.
Yeah.
And not
But I think
over shared
that was
experiences.
that was adventure. I think that was over like an adventure element, or like a lot of those people were of similar ilk, as it were.
Okay.
And I think that automatically, plus you add the summer camp vibe to it too.
Yeah.
True.
You travel somewhere.
And you'll tell me if the summer camp vibe expires on me, right?
And you're absolutely right. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people like that in Colorado who I would click with and get to know really well. But then
how do you find them?
It goes back to like being busy and not making the time to necessarily do that. It being awkward, not sure if you really even want to pursue friendships.
Yeah,
So
that's the question I wanted to ask. Do you have time for friendships? Are you a person right now who is like, I need more friends? Like I look at my wife, I'm like, she needs more friends. But I look at me, I'm like, I don't need more friends. Rachel,
But does she look at you and think you need more friends though?
No, she looks at me and she's like, stop fucking
Slow
talking to
down.
people. You stop talking to strangers.
We can't go to Costco
Stop
for
talking.
less than an hour.
Period.
Yes. But she, like, the way she meets friends is she has friends, and then friends of those friends go somewhere together and they all meet. And then all of a sudden she's like, I'm going with my new friend that I met from Jill brought her to book club. And now we're friends and we're going hiking. And I was like, that's great. Weird. I would never meet a friend that way, but great. Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
funny.
the opposite. I think that even though I feel like I'm too busy to do that kind of stuff, I know that I would get much more out of making connections, making new friends than putting in the time on the computer. So, I mean, this podcast is a great example. Like we met each other, we're building together, we're creating together, and that would have never happened if we didn't meet each other, obviously. So I think there's always the feeling of having too much to do, being too busy to get out there and network and make friends. But at the end of the day, you'll probably get a lot farther by making those connections than you ever would alone.
Yeah.
I heard an expression that I think I had never considered before. And maybe it applies to friendship, I think, too, but it also applies to like, content creation or starting a job or whatever, business. You can get faster alone, but you can go further with a group. So like if I'm working on a video, I can knock it out, shoot it, edit it, boom, and it's done. It probably would be better if there were other people involved, but I know like done is better for me sometimes than perfect. But all that to say, I think within that idea of friendship, you can go further. It is worth it. It's easier to stay at home. It's easier to, kind of check out. And I wonder if that contributes to what, I have no stats for this, but just, anecdotally, what you hear about the empty nest when the kids go to college and then divorces, like that's the second wave of divorce, right? Like the first wave is usually a couple years into marriage where you're like, oh, this was not what I was thinking. And then the second wave is, who are you? Now the house is quiet. The kids are gone. We haven't done anything together. I don't really have any input from other friends. I'm kind of bored. What are we doing?
Yeah. I think that's where the hobbies really come in.
Yeah.
And I also think that that's where, I have young kids. Like I'm an old dad. And so
old.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like my daughter's 6, I'm 45. Like that's kind of standardish. Where I grew up in Utah, that's a very old, old parent.
Yeah. I grew up in the South. That's old. That's very old.
So I think of that sometimes, and I think like I'm looking at like my in-laws and my parents, and I think like at that point, it's very, very important that you each have some separate interests and hobbies to turn and go to whenever you need.
Right.
Like I go do pickleball right now. I go hiking. I go do like little adventures. My wife goes to book club, and she goes and does her little hike groups and stuff. And so we each have our own things. But I think like going back to the suicide rates and stuff like that, I think when you don't have that network, it gets very, very lonely. You're just alone with your own thoughts all the time. And usually those thoughts start to turn negative as you're like, what am I doing? I'm spending all this money to live for what? I'm like, it's very like, and even like, I'm not suicidal by any means, but I catch myself in negative thoughts like that, where I'm just like, oh, my goddamn mortgage. And for what? And now I'm going to grind and grind and grind to pay the mortgage next month. And I'm going to do this and that. And I love my kids and I love my wife. I love my family and everything's great. But like, it's a grind sometimes. And then you just have to like, that's where the network and friendship, I think, is really, really important. Gives you a reset, gives you an escape from that mentality, and gets perspective from others and gives you a different perspective as well as you're looking at everyone around you and communicating with them. So
and it's not just suicide either. They say that like loneliness is a bigger risk factor for all kinds of early death, like bigger than smoking, bigger than drinking, bigger than anything.
And I knew that when I met my one friend. I was like, it's better than being lonely, as we smoke cigarettes at the BYU party.
I'm less likely to die now than I was not smoking.
With a friend.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to smoke, at least find someone to smoke with.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what we're learning today.
I think that's in high school. That's how a lot of people
friendships.
Friends. Yep.
Do you think those people are all still friends, or are they all in jail and stuff?
I'm still friends with most of them.
And in jail still. Friendship and in jail. It's actually a both and in this case.
Okay.
Al Pacino just became a dad at 83. Gosh. So you're not that old of a dad.
Oh, listen, everyone has their own thing, but I think that's irresponsible.
83. William, that's more than twice you. That's you twice, and then you have a baby. That's wild.
I don't like that.
If I'm being honest, I would like to have more kids. So I plan on being an old dad as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a pretty old dad now, but
at 83, you're not even going to get to see your kids graduate.
I'm probably not going to try to have kids at 83.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think I would be angry at my parents if they had me and knowing full well that they were going to pass on before I got to junior high.
Yeah.
Like, that would make me, I would be like, because
I was just waiting in heaven. Why'd you do that? I was waiting for the young couple. And you guys pushed me out, and now I got these old folks.
I got up in line, was excited to see.
I was excited to see. Yeah, I didn't know you'd be in a wheelchair with a cane. I didn't know that to look lower. I just thought this would be a spry young 20-somethings.
And Bradley leads us to our next topic: the pre-existence before we were born. Ooh. What were we? Where were we? How were we?
Tune in next week when we definitively answer those questions that for centuries have haunted everyone, from philosophers to religious folk. But we got the answers.
Yeah. Anything in closing, William? I can tell you're chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
I'm starting a new activity tonight.
Oh my gosh. And new friend possibilities?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Underwater hockey?
Underwater hockey? Are you using a stick?
You just froze us. We were like,
Are you using a stick?
Yeah, you've got like just the little end of a hockey stick, basically.
And a weight belt?
The puck sinks. No weight belt. You just have fins and a mask and a snorkel. Okay. And you put the puck in the middle of the pool, and you sprint down and push it to each other. And it's a team sport. You knock the puck to each other and try to push it into the net. And it's like the best cardio workout. It's great for free dive training. Yeah. It's super intense and fun. I played it once before.
So it's water
And,
polo, but under the water, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different because water polo under the water is called Underwater Rocket League. And
That looks fun too.
That looks fun too. That's a little more physical because so it's in a dive tank. So you're down around 10, 12 feet, whatever. And the rocket sinks. And it's one of those kid rockets that you can throw it underwater and it kind of goes, but it's bigger. But if you're holding the rocket, the opposing team can hold you underwater until you let go of the rocket.
Till you black out.
So you let go of the rocket and they're no longer allowed to touch you. So anybody holding the rocket can get wrapped up. So you want to grab the rocket, get it to a teammate.
There's no dive tank. I mean, no scuba tanks.
No scuba tanks.
You're just
holding
your breath.
So you come up, get your breath, go back down, find the rocket, grapple somebody, try and hold them for longer than they can hold their breath, because that's essentially what the contest is going to be if you're all wrapped up. And so I looked at that. I was like, I think I would like that, but I wouldn't like it if somebody wasn't responsible and didn't like, cause sometimes you get people that are a little aggro in those situations.
Yeah.
I wrapped you up. I was like, I let go of the rocket. And there was like, I didn't see it cause I was too focused on wrapping you up. And you're like, I almost died.
Right.
And they're like, yeah. And we're like, we're not.
Why
friends.
are we doing this?
But
definitely not hanging out
in this. Yeah. So, have you made any friends from underwater hockey yet?
So my best friend who I've made in the last year or something is my friend Hannah, and she's a free diver. We met at a free diving class. I'm doing the class with her, and I've only done one class, and it was a while ago, so I haven't made any friends specifically from underwater hockey. But I'm doing it with like my best new friend, who's this free diver girl, Hannah, and she's coming tonight too.
That's cool. I would imagine all three people who are able to show up for this and compete. You're like, well, we can't really field a team. There's only three people in the entire state of Colorado who can hold their breath and swing a hockey puck and not die.
How deep is
the
the
people
water?
who play it are like into it. Like
they train and
travel
train as a team and stuff.
Compete and spend a lot of money doing it. Train as a team.
Wow. Yeah. How deep? Tyson asked, how deep is the water?
How deep is the water? Is it dive tank or is it like a lap pool?
It's like 6 foot. Yeah. Lap pool.
Okay.
There's also underwater rugby, which is like more like the underwater rocket game.
League. Yeah.
But I don't think you don't throw it. You just have to hand it off. But it's the same thing. It's like way more physical and in deeper water.
Yeah.
This is a whole world. I mean, if you guys were totally making this up, it would not surprise me. This all feels like this is like an early April Fool's. You're just making stuff up. There's also underwater gun shooting. And
there probably is.
You have to run away from someone who's got a Glock pointed at you, and then you're shooting while you're running away, and you catch the bullet, and then you reload. This is all hilariously. I just love the human condition, right? They're just like, well, what if?
I like hockey, but I also like water, but those can't mix because the water in hockey is frozen. But what if it wasn't?
What if it wasn't? What if we melt that water and we add more water? That's so intense.
Yeah. I'm excited. Can you get video of it?
Yeah, I'll get some video.
Oh, good. Post that. Post that.
Yeah.
But to close, I just wanted to say that making friends is difficult and it's so easy to find excuses not to, but just getting other people's perspective is invaluable. And it will add way more to your life, to your career, to your understanding of the world than staying in your house. So for me, I'm kind of like an extroverted introvert. Like I dread going out, but I like being out kind of thing. And I know that for me, it's difficult, but I also know that I get the most out of those relationships way more than I would being at home sitting on my computer watching Netflix.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I am an extrovert, but I also don't really I'd rather stay home now. I'm like a homebody, but I like thrive as an extrovert. Like if you put me in a crowd of people, my energy is going to ramp to astronomical. I mean, you guys witnessed
We have seen that firsthand, by the way.
Astronomical levels.
Viewers, this is Tyson grows like the Hulk. He's just like a regular scientist dude, and then all of a sudden it's social Tyson.
I love that about you, though, because it makes me kind of come out of my shell more too right away.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it does one of two things. It makes people come out of their shell, which then makes it more fun for me.
Yeah.
Or it turns people off so bad that I can tell that they're getting so bothered by it that the people that are coming out of their shell plus me aggravating them is also a win.
and it's all closing in. And we know that you go after that person. So that's another way to identify.
I'm honing in, dude. I'm just got him. So
why is it hard for you to make friends, Tyson? It's just really, it's been hard to uncover. I like to push people's buttons and then piss them off. How come they didn't come back, honey? I don't know.
But that's how they pass the test. If they can cope with that and tolerate that, I know that they're a keeper.
I like that.
Very quick filter.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like, and for William, like you might want to try this in the future. It's like having a mustache while you're dating, because then you know that they'll take you no matter what. It's not about your appearance.
Assuming that the mustache is the worst thing that you could do to your face. You're like,
it's one of.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That is quite a statement.
I love mustaches.
You have a mustache. You just also have a beard.
Yeah,
but
and
I
love mustaches. I think they're rad. But most women that I've met are, maybe they think they're rad, but they're like, I don't want to cozy up to a mustache.
Yeah. Face caterpillar.
But if you got one and the girl's like, I'd take you anyway, the mustache is whatever.
That's good.
Then
I did rock one for about a month or two, like during the middle of my divorce.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I met you in New York when I had it.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you look rad?
It was pretty fun.
It looked good. You look good. Yeah,
it was a lot of people either loved it or hate it, you know?
There you go.
I got a lot of comments about looking like a creepy guy in the 80s.
Yep.
But then I also got a lot of good comments. So it was fun. Yeah. I'll do it again.
Good. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We got a very warm reception, lots of positive feedback on the podcast. We're going to keep them coming, and we hope that you keep enjoying them. Thank you both for your time, William and Bradley.
You got it.
See you next week.
Keep on crisising, guys.
Crisis is out.
Yeah. No, crisis is in. That's the problem.
Crisis is in. See ya.
Peace.